Brad sits in his living room, surrounded by books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door, Think and Grow Rich, The Psychology of Money. He's got them all. Some are highlighted. Some have dog-eared pages. He's taken notes. He listens to finance podcasts during his commute. He watches YouTube videos about investing. He can explain the 4% rule, the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA, and why compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Brad knows everything about money. And Brad is completely broke. He's got $847 in his savings account, $6,200 in credit card debt, 0 investments, no emergency fund, living paycheck to paycheck on a $72,000 salary. But ask him about dollar cost averaging. He'll give you a 10-minute explanation. This is the uncomfortable truth nobody in the financial education industry wants to admit. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can read every book, watch every video, attend every seminar, and still be completely financially screwed. Because financial literacy isn't the problem, behavior is. I'm Nick, and today we're talking about why your financial education might be making you poorer, not richer. Hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear will probably make you angry. But it might also change your life. The knowledge trap. Here's a question that should make you uncomfortable. How much money have you spent on financial education? I'm not talking about college. I'm talking about books, courses, seminars, coaching programs, subscriptions to premium financial newsletters. For Brad, it's probably close to $2,000 over the past 3 years. Think about that. He spent $2,000 learning how to manage money instead of actually managing the money. If he'd just put that $2,000 into an index fund 3 years ago, it would be worth about $2,800 today, a 40% return. But instead, he spent it on knowledge, and knowledge by itself has a 0% return. This is what I call the knowledge trap. It's the illusion that learning about something is the same as doing something. And it's incredibly seductive because learning feels productive. It feels like progress. When Brad finishes reading The Intelligent Investor, his brain releases dopamine. He feels accomplished. He feels like he's moved closer to his financial goals. But his bank account, unchanged, his debt, still there. His investment portfolio, still empty. He's confused education with action. And that confusion is bankrupting him. Here's the brutal truth. You don't have a knowledge problem. You have a behavior problem. You already know you should spend less than you earn. You've known that since you were 8 years old. You already know you should save for emergencies. You already know credit card debt is expensive. You already know you should invest for retirement. You don't need another book to tell you these things. You need to actually do them. But doing them is hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires sacrifice and discipline and delayed gratification. Reading about them is easy. It's comfortable. It requires nothing except time and maybe $15 for the book. So we read, and we watch, and we listen, and we tell ourselves we're working on our finances. But we're not. We're procrastinating in the most sophisticated way possible. The complexity excuse. Let me tell you about Brad's latest obsession, tax optimization strategies. He spent the last 2 weeks watching videos about how the ultra-wealthy use complex tax structures to minimize their burden. He learned about opportunity zones, cost segregation studies, and backdoor Roth conversions. Fascinating stuff, genuinely interesting, completely irrelevant to his situation. Brad doesn't have investment income to optimize. He doesn't own real estate to depreciate. He doesn't max out his basic retirement accounts, so backdoor conversions don't apply. But learning about these advanced strategies makes him feel sophisticated. It makes him feel like he's thinking on a higher level. Meanwhile, he's still putting his daily coffee on a credit card at 24% interest. This is the complexity excuse in action. We tell ourselves we need to understand every nuance, every advanced strategy, every edge case before we can take basic action. We convince ourselves that personal finance is this incredibly complicated field that requires years of study to navigate. It's not. The fundamentals of personal finance can be written on a napkin. 1. Spend less than you earn. 2. Save the difference. 3. Invest the savings in low-cost index funds. 4. Don't touch it for decades. 5. Avoid debt, especially high-interest debt. That's it. That's the entire game for 95% of people. Everything else, the tax strategies, the alternative investments, the complex portfolio rebalancing techniques, that's optimizing the last 5% of returns once you've mastered the basics. But we skip the basics. They're too boring, too simple. They don't make us feel smart. So we jump straight to the advanced stuff because it's intellectually stimulating. Brad can explain modern portfolio theory, but he hasn't set up automatic transfers to a savings account. He understands the nuances of different bond duration strategies, but he's never created a budget. He's educated himself into paralysis. The irony. The ultra-wealthy people whose strategies he's studying, they didn't start with complex tax optimization. They started by making money and not spending all of it. The sophisticated strategies came later, once they had actual wealth to optimize, but Brad has reversed the order. He's learning PhD-level finance while failing Finance 101. The podcast problem. Every morning, Brad's commute routine is the same. He fires up his favorite finance podcast. He's got a whole rotation. Monday, entrepreneurship and wealth building. Tuesday, real estate investing. Wednesday, stock market analysis. Thursday, interviews with millionaires. Friday, cryptocurrency and emerging tech. He feels educated, informed, connected to the financial world. But here's what's actually happening. These podcasts are selling him a dream. They're showing him the destination without making him walk the path. The Entrepreneurship Podcast interviews someone who built a $50 million company. Inspiring, absolutely. Actionable for Brad's current situation? Not even slightly. Brad doesn't need inspiration to start a company. He needs discipline to stop eating out for lunch 5 days a week. The Real Estate Podcast talks about syndication deals and commercial property investments. Fascinating content. Zero relevance to someone who hasn't saved a down payment for a primary residence. The Millionaire Interview shows someone's life after they've achieved financial success. But it rarely shows the 15 years of beans and rice, saying no to friends, driving the old car, living in the small apartment. It's financial pornography. It gives you the emotional satisfaction of wealth building without the actual work. And just like actual pornography, it creates unrealistic expectations and can actually decrease your motivation to pursue the real thing. Because when you spend an hour listening to someone's path to millions, your brain partially experiences that success vicariously. You get a small dopamine hit. You feel like you've made progress. Then you get home, and the actual work of tracking your expenses or reviewing your budget feels boring in comparison. Why would you want to categorize grocery receipts when you just spent an hour mentally living the life of a tech entrepreneur? The podcast has satisfied your achievement drive without requiring any achievement. I'm not saying don't consume financial content. I make financial content. Obviously, I believe it has value. But consumption without implementation is just entertainment. If you listen to a podcast about budgeting and then don't create a budget, you didn't learn about budgeting. You were entertained by the concept of budgeting. There's a massive difference. The seminar circuit. Last year, Brad spent $800 to attend a 3-day wealth-building seminar. The speaker was dynamic, charismatic. He told his rags to riches story. He talked about mindset. He talked about abundance thinking. He talked about taking massive action. The energy in the room was electric. People were taking notes furiously. During breaks, Everyone was talking about how their lives were about to change. Brad left on Sunday night feeling invincible. He was going to transform his finances. This was the turning point he'd been waiting for. By Wednesday, he was back to his normal routine. The notebook from the seminar sat on his desk, unopened. 3 months later, his financial situation was identical to before the seminar, except he was $800 poorer. This is the seminar circuit trap, and it's incredibly profitable for the people running the seminars. Here's how it works. These events are designed to create an emotional high. The music, the lighting, the pacing of the presentations, it's all engineered to make you feel motivated and empowered. And in that emotional state, you make commitments. You decide you're going to change everything. But emotion-based decisions don't last. They can't. Emotion is temporary. It fades. When you get home and real life resumes, the emotional high dissipates. And without that emotional fuel, the commitments evaporate. Here's what Brad should have done with that $800. Opened a Roth IRA and made his first investment. That's it. That's the entire action item. One automated monthly contribution of $200 into a target date index fund. Set it and forget it. Would that have been as exciting as a 3-day seminar? No. Would it have actually improved his financial situation? Absolutely. But we're attracted to the exciting, dramatic solution. The weekend that changes everything. The system that unlocks wealth. We're not attracted to the boring, undramatic solution, consistently doing simple things over long periods of time. The seminar promised transformation. The monthly investment offers only slow, incremental progress. But slow, incremental progress compounds. Transformation events don't. Here's a rule that will save you thousands of dollars. If someone is selling you financial education at a seminar, and the seminar costs more than you currently have in savings, you shouldn't attend the seminar. You should put that money in savings. Because if you can't afford to attend the seminar comfortably, you're not ready for advanced financial strategies. You're ready for basics. And the basics aren't taught at $800 seminars. They're taught by actually doing them. The comparison trap. Brad follows about 30 finance influencers on social media. Every day, his feed is filled with posts about passive income, investment wins, early retirement, financial independence. Someone just bought their third rental property. Someone else hit $100,000 in their investment account. Someone quit their job to travel the world on dividend income. And every single post makes Brad feel both inspired and inadequate. Inspired because it shows what's possible. Inadequate because it highlights what he hasn't achieved. So what does he do? He saves the posts. He screenshots the strategies. He tells himself he's going to implement these ideas. But he doesn't, because he's missing all the context. He doesn't see that the person who bought their third rental property spent 5 years saving aggressively and living in a tiny apartment to afford the first one. He doesn't see that the person with $100,000 invested has been automatically contributing $500 every single month for 12 years. He doesn't see that the person who retired early lived on half their income for 15 years while their peers were upgrading cars and houses. He only sees the result, the victory lap, the celebration post. And that distorted view creates an impossible standard. Brad thinks, I should be buying rental properties. I should have 6 figures invested. I should be pursuing financial independence. What he actually needs to think, I should pay off this credit card. I should save my first $1,000 emergency fund. I should start contributing to my 401k. The comparison trap makes you skip steps. It makes you think you should be at mile 20 when you haven't even started the race. And that gap between where you are and where you think you should be. It's paralyzing. So Brad does nothing. Because starting at step 1 feels embarrassing when everyone online seems to be at step 50. The behavior breakthrough. So if knowledge isn't the solution, what is? Let me tell you about Sarah. She makes $68,000 a year, less than Brad. She's never read a finance book. She doesn't listen to podcasts. She couldn't explain the difference between a growth stock and a value stock. But Sarah has $43,000 saved. Zero debt. She maxes out her Roth IRA every year. She's on track to retire comfortably. What's her secret? She does 3 things consistently. 1. She saves 20% of every paycheck automatically. It transfers to savings before she can spend it. She's been doing this since her first job 10 years ago. 2. She tracks her spending. Not obsessively, just a quick review every Sunday. She knows where her money goes. 3. She invests what she doesn't need for emergencies. Simple target date fund. Set it and forget it. That's it. 3 behaviors. No complexity, no advanced strategies, no seminars or courses. Just consistent, boring, disciplined behavior. Sarah doesn't have a knowledge advantage over Brad. She has a behavior advantage. And behavior beats knowledge every single time. Because here's the truth. Personal finance is 10% knowledge and 90% behavior. You don't need to understand the intricacies of international dividend tax treatment. You need to spend less than you earn. You don't need to master technical analysis of stock charts. You need to invest regularly and not panic when markets drop. You don't need to optimize your asset allocation across 17 different account types. You need to actually have assets to allocate. The basics work. They're boring. They're not intellectually stimulating. They won't make you feel smart at dinner parties, but they work every single time, for every single person who actually implements them. Here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, implement a complete financial education freeze. No books, no podcasts, no YouTube videos, no seminars, no courses. Instead, take one single action. Set up an automatic transfer of $100 to a savings account every payday. That's it. That's the entire assignment. If you can't do that, if you need to watch more videos or read more books before you can transfer $100 to savings, then you've confirmed the diagnosis. You don't have a knowledge problem. You have a behavior problem. And behavior problems aren't solved with more information. They're solved with action. Small, consistent, boring action. Brad will probably keep reading books and listening to podcasts. And he'll probably still be broke in 5 years, wondering why all this knowledge hasn't translated into wealth. Sarah will probably keep doing her 3 simple behaviors, and she probably have $80,000 saved in 5 years, still unable to explain modern portfolio theory. Which one do you want to be? If this made you rethink your approach to financial education, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who has a shelf full of finance books and a bank account full of nothing. Knowledge is worthless without action. Stop learning. Start doing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.